Yes, welcome to section 24 in Manual for Teachers. So we finished last week on lesson 23, Does Jesus have a special role in healing? And now we move into a couple of subjects that come up for Teachers for God, because people that migrate to Course in Miracles generally have left dogmatic religion and have somehow moved into what they label as spiritual. And under the word spirituality, under the subject of spirituality, there's a myriad of different modalities, from the occult to the sacred geometries and sacred texts and sacred teachings. And, there's, of course, mainstream in terms of Advaita Vedanta, the Hindu teachings. There's also Taoism, Buddhism, the Upanishads, a specific section in the Advaita, which really deals with the same non-duality subjects as A Course in Miracles. It just misses one aspect of that. That's the forgiveness part. What makes the Course so unique is the forgiveness. And so people stumble across this. They come across that because they're searching. And what are they searching for? They're searching for happiness. We all want to be happy. And even the idea of enlightenment is the belief that enlightenment is going to bring about a permanence of happiness. I've spoken at length about enlightenment, that enlightenment is not some overwhelming experience. Enlightenment is simply the revealing, the atonement of the self, and the recognition of our true essence as that self, which is the extension, the essential extension, the essence extension of Source. And as it's extended outwards and then fell asleep and dreamt a dream of separation, it is still part of that essential essence, which is Source. And so many a student comes to this looking for the happiness. They may have stumbled on non-duality. They may have heard about things like meditation and psychic phenomena. And then, of course, somewhere along the line, they've heard about reincarnation. And reincarnation is a subject that often gets romanticized. It's a subject that I spent a considerable portion of my teaching career focused on before I really dived fully into A Course in Miracles. I wrote a book about it, and I've just written another book about it, which explains the illusion of reincarnation. So it happens in illusion, but it doesn't happen in reality. And ultimately, we have to transcend the need to reincarnate. We want to get out of the reincarnation trap. So a question you'll often be asked as a teacher for God is reincarnation so? Is it real? Does reincarnation happen? And you've got to have a sensitivity as a teacher for God when you answer this question, because in ultimate reality, no, it does not happen. There is no such thing as reincarnation in ultimate reality. But in the dream illusion, the secret dream is the spirit world. And then the projected dream of guilt is the physical world. And we are trapped between the hidden dream spiritual world and the projection onto the physical world. Both wrong-minded, both therefore not real. And what we want to do is to transcend the idea that we're a body-mind that once it dies goes back into spirit form and then reincarnates again into body-mind. Because if what you are is true, then what you are remains unchanged. And the very fact that you keep reincarnating in different space-time experiences means that this illusionary space, body, time matter, this matter which is body, mind in space, time, isn't actually real, because if it was real, it would be unchanged and would remain unchanged. So the question is reincarnation so? Is reincarnation true? And the Course says, in the ultimate sense, reincarnation is impossible. There is no past or future. And the idea of birth into a body has no meaning either, once or many times. So it has no real meaning. Of course, one can unravel it, and I spent a considerable part of my life doing it. But it brought me back to non-duality and brought me back to there is no meaning, there is no purpose in reincarnating. other than when you give this device to the Holy Spirit, and it then becomes an instrument to awaken your reality, your immortal self, into awakening. Reincarnation cannot then be true in any real sense. We're talking about God's reality. Our only question should be, is the concept helpful? And I can again speak from experience. In my first 10, 12 years of teaching spirituality, it was very helpful and certainly brought me closer towards Course in Miracles. Now that I'm fully immersed into the non-duality of the Christ mind, of the right-minded thinking, there's no more talk of reincarnation. But if someone should ask me, and always the question is, what soul am I? I'm an old soul, young soul. Everybody wants to be an old soul. And an old soul is actually not that old. And there's no such thing as old soul. All souls were created at exactly the same time. It's just the different levels of awareness that we call young, mature, and old soul. And so, and the esoteric market, they all love to believe they're old or advanced souls, and they love to diss people that are not spiritually inclined as younger souls. And they say use it as a judgment tool, and therefore very dangerous. And that's why it says, is the concept helpful? And that depends, of course, on what it is used for. If it is used to strengthen the recognition of the eternal nature of life, it is helpful indeed. Is any other question about it really useful in lighting up the way? So you are eternal. What else do you want to know? Now, of course, we believe, if you believe in reincarnation, then you believe you're eternal, but you change shape. You go into physical form, back into spirit form, and then and in this physical form, somewhere inside this, the spirit. And even that in the dream world isn't completely true, because in the dream world, what happens is you're not actually physically here where your body appears, you're actually projecting it. Where are you projecting it? You're projecting it into the mind, and then it's assimilated from a singularity point, fractured 8 billion times, that this is where I am. And just like you believe this is real, you believe yourself when you're dreaming at night, that no matter where you find yourself in the dream, as you dream it, it's real for you there too. And yet when you wake up, you realize it was but a dream. So, if it's used to strengthen the recognition of eternal nature of life, absolutely helpful indeed. And really, is there really any other question we should be asking? Like many other beliefs, reincarnation can be bitterly misused, and I see it all the time, especially in the comparison with, I'm an old soul, that's a young soul, that's why they're acting that way. And it gives them almost, it substantiates and validates their judgments. At least such misuse offers preoccupation and perhaps pride. I was an old soul, my past life, I was so-and-so, okay, in the past. At worst, it induces inertia in the present. In between, many kinds of follies are possible, and people love to, I come from, it's the star seed, and it's this indigo, and I come from the Pleiades, and I come from this constellation and that constellation, and I'm special, and that's what makes me an empath, and that's why I'm sensitive. And we love to create these romantic stories, astro traveling, blah, blah, blah. The whole universe is in your mind. You're not traveling anywhere. And no matter what it feels like, even in your dreams, it feels like you're walking in the streets of Paris. You're not. You're in your bed. So it may feel like it, but you're not. Reincarnation would not, under any circumstance, be the problem to be dealt with now. So it's not something we should be focusing on. If it were responsible for some of the difficulties the individual faces now, his task would still be only to escape from them now. So it's all about being present here now. Be as you are. To be as you are means being yourself knowingly here in the now. If he's laying the groundwork for a future life, he can still work out his salvation only now. To some, there may be comfort in the concept. And if it heartens them, its value is obviously self-evident, because people want to, especially if someone's passed on, I'm a soul, they've died, their soul's gone to heaven or the spirit world. I'm going to see my mother, my child, my brother, my lover, my husband, all the above, my dog. People often ask me, is my dog in heaven? Well, not as dog, no. But, and where is heaven? Heaven is simply here now. fully consciously aware of what I am as the essence that I am. Okay. But if it heartens them, by all means. It is certain, however, that the way to salvation can be found by those who believe in reincarnation and by those who do not. So both sides of the spectrum. The idea cannot, therefore, be regarded as essential to this Course in Miracles curriculum. There is always some risk in seeing the present in terms of the past. And we do that in our daily lives. And the minute you add the complication of past lives onto it, you then further add to the complexity of what you're trying to figure out. So don't add to it. There is always some good in any thought which strengthens the idea that life and the body, life itself, essence, the very essence of what you are, and the body are not the same. For our purpose, it would not be helpful to take any definite stand on reincarnation. A teacher of God should be as helpful to those who believe in it as to those who do not. Because the minute you get into arguing with a pupil about what's right and wrong, you make it right, you make it your reality. And so you instantly move into wrong-mindedness. And then you start defending right-mindedness, but from a wrong-mindedness perspective. And then you get trapped in duality and the dogma thereof. So be very wary that you don't sit and defend the Course. And the Course is also very clear. This is a course to be done on your own. So what are we doing here talking to one another in this forum? Well, I, as the apparent teacher, that which is the representation of the Voice for God for now, of course, the minute you leave this talk, you become that yourself and you go and share it. We're here to impart with one another certain levels of understanding. And it's not that I'm any special, definitely not, because I am just one with that which is Christ's mind, awake as are all of us, as is every single being on this planet, and every single being on this planet and all other planets are awakening. And it may not seem so, but as the mind expands and awakens into itself, every single individual, regardless of how little they seem to be shifting, is awakening. Okay. Our course is not concerned with any concept that is not acceptable to anyone, regardless of his formal beliefs. His ego will be enough for him to cope with. His conflicting thoughts about himself, his self-worth, his sense of value and valuelessness, his sense of time and time, it's enough. So let's not propagate it or add to it as teachers for God. And it is not part of the wisdom to add sectarian controversies to his burdens, nor would there be an advantage in his premature acceptance of the course merely because it advocates a long-held belief of his own. So don't take sides, don't promote, just simply be of service and be so knowingly and as unconditionally as you can be, as non-judgmental as possible. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that this course aims at complete reversal of thought. When this is finally accomplished, issues such as the validity of reincarnation become meaningless because it's simply into the reality of I am the Holy Son of God that dreamt the dream. It cannot be simply because in what appears to be time, I traveled through space to a place that doesn't exist, to a place that I've never left, and imagined myself to be something I'm not. Until then, they are likely to be merely controversial. The teacher of God is therefore wise to step away from all such questions, for he has too much to teach and learn apart from them. He should both learn and teach that theoretical issues, but waste time. Because what's the point of another theory? If you can't knowingly become it, to truly get into knowing, you need to transcend understanding. You need to surpass understanding. You read a book, you understand it. Then you go out and practice it. Once you practice it, you start to do it. Once you start to do it properly, you know it. And once you know it, you transcend it. Okay. If there are aspects to any concept or belief that will be helpful, you will be told about it. You will also be told how to use it. What more need to know is this than this? And bear in mind that I am one such person who has been brought here to guide through the concept of reincarnation into the awareness that it's not so. So I obviously spent a considerable 30 years of my life researching and doing. I did over 3,000 life between life and past life regressions, 3,000 different clients over a 10-year period. And there was a reason for it. It was a part of my awakening, and it's given many a person wonderful sense of self and sense of the divine and sense of life as eternal and immortal. But yes, in the beginning of my awakening stage, especially after having died of the brain tumor and having been clinically dead for 4 hours, where I experienced traveling back to the spirit world, having conversations with different beings and deities, and including that which is Christ mind, I came back with this understanding. And of course, at first I thought I was meant to teach it. And as I went deeper and deeper, it made less and less sense. And then I had to get to the point, as we all will and all do, is that the more I know, the less I know. The more I know, the less I understand. And then it's the surrender place. And then true knowing comes through the grace of God as the Holy Spirit and the voice within. Okay, so does this mean the teacher of God should not believe in reincarnation himself or discuss it with others who do? Well, I just have, and that answers it. The answer is certainly not. If he does believe in reincarnation, and I don't believe in it anymore, but I understand that it happens in the dream illusion, even though in true reality it's not real. It would be a mistake for him to renounce the belief unless his internal teacher so advised. So I do find myself still, especially people who are new at spirituality and not ready for non-duality, I say, yeah, of course, this is what happens in the spirit world. And if your mother's passed, there is no hell. She just goes to the spirit world and prepares to come back, okay, if she hasn't fully awakened herself. Okay. So it would be a mistake to renounce the belief system unless his internal teacher so advised. And this is most unlikely. He might be advised that he is misusing the belief in some way that is detrimental to the pupil's advance or his own. Okay. Reinterpretation would then be recommended, and that's what I did. So when I wrote A School Called Earth, it was all about spirit world reincarnation, what happens, life between lives, the different angel types, the different schools of thought, different levels of conscious awareness, how it all links up with the chakras, et cetera, et cetera. As I went deeper into non-duality, realizing it's all wrong-minded dream state, I then had to reinterpret, and hence I've written a new book. So A School Called Earth has now become A School Called the Universe, where it takes us into the realization it's all happening in mind, as mind through mind, which is the Holy Son of God's mind, in God, which is God's capital M-I-N-D. Reinterpretation would then be recommended because it's necessary, and it was most definitely necessary for me, and it's really transformed my life even more. I mean, the beginning of my spiritual journey, of course, I'm a natural teacher, so I would naturally take a subject and teach, and this understanding of reincarnation really definitely helped and gave me a deep sense of inner peace, but it didn't remain. And it's only when I fully became immersed into the non-duality of Course in Miracles that the true essence became peaceful and restful and had less to do. It became knowingly itself. All that must be recognized, however, is that birth was not the beginning and death is not the end. Yet even this much is not required of the beginner. He need merely accept the idea that what he knows is not necessarily all there is to learn. His journey has begun. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you. And it is, so in other words, right now, it's saying to you, it's at this moment, right now, choose again. That choosing again, right-minded, Christ-minded consciousness is salvation itself. And it is at this moment that you can accept it. So realize, I am that which is, I am that which dreams all of this, and that is the Holy Son of God. I am that. This is still your one responsibility to yourself. And I often hear this, people that want to go do this, and they've had trauma, they want to write a book and tell everybody about their lives, about their traumatic lives, and then they want to go help children or animals or something. And it's always got to do with a sense of selflessness, and not as in there's no self, but the littleness of the self. And then what it wants to do is give it a spiritual identity, a look at me, martyr identity, a victim identity, a victim identity which transcended the victim and now becomes the hero of the dream. And so most initiates that are going in this direction get trapped by ego. Before you know it, it's again about the spiritual identity and not actually letting it all go, and really becoming the knowing that transcends understanding. Okay, so this is your one responsibility: to thyself be true, be thyself knowingly. Know thyself as that awareness which is aware. Atonement might be equated with the total escape from the past and the total lack of interest in the future. Now remember, past, present, future, experienced by us is always past is sin. We've done something wrong, remorseful. We move into the present, and what do we fill the present with? Guilt, deep sense of remorse. I'm guilty. Why? I'm vengeful because you've done something to me. And then future gets projected as what? Fear, because I then fear what happened in the past is happening right now is projected into the future. So past, present, future, sin, guilt, fear. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. Okay. So it's your one responsibility. And atonement might be equated with total escape from past and total lack in the future. Heaven is here now. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. Okay, heaven is here now. Right-mindedness. Right-mindedness, Christ mind, the self. There is no other time. So time is really the experience of here. So what we think is time is always now. Okay, and what we call here is what we call space. What we call matter is really the memory of self. So memory of time is really the memory of the experience of total here now. So in the here now gets, as we move from object subject, now becomes time. As we move here now and here, it becomes what we believe is space, occupies space. And what occupies space? It's either the self or the physicality, therefore matter, space, time, matter, past, present, future. So always your responsibility is to transcend here now, become knowingly yourself. And all beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. We'll stop there for a second and I'll open up to questions.